everyone, welcome to my channel, The Freelance Life. If this is your first time stopping by, welcome. And for those of you returning, welcome back. I'm Jen, and I'm a freelance graphic designer, illustrator, and educator based out of the Midwest, and I run Bella and Sophia Creative Studio. On this channel, you will find in-depth creative tutorials relating to design, creative business, and illustration. I also share a behind-the-scenes view of the work that I do as a creative freelancer and educator in studio vlogs. And today I'm sharing my top 10 tools that I use as a creative freelancer. This rundown focuses mainly on tools that I use for graphic design and illustration. They're my tried and true go-to tools that I use day in and day out on both client and personal work. You don't need all of these things to launch into your own freelance career, but some are really vital and some just really make work a lot easier. I hope you find this list helpful. Let's get started. So the first two things that I want to share are my iPad Pro and my Apple Pencil. I use these in tandem often for digital illustration and design work on the go. I work in Procreate as well as Affinity in terms of the work that I do. I work in Procreate for illustration and in the Affinity apps for my design work. I don't have a laptop, but the iPad Pro is like a workhorse on the go, and I'm able to work on files that I created on my desktop in the Affinity apps right on my iPad. The Apple Pencil, though, is really helpful when it comes to illustration work, as it's really lightweight and compact, and it has pressure sensitivity, which is really important. I utilize it a lot when I'm working in Procreate and the Affinity apps. Combined with my paper-like cover, and it does a good job of making me feel like I'm drawing with pencil and paper, which makes my work look more natural in the digital space. The next tool I want to share is my Huion Tablet. So if you're looking to expand the workspace of your drawing tablet, or if you just don't want to purchase an iPad because I know they can be really expensive, but you still want to work on a drawing tablet, I highly suggest the Huion brands. They have all kinds, from the ones that are monitor type tablets like what I have, to ones that are just you connect with a USB to your computer and you look at your computer screen and you draw on them. I could not use those. Some people say it just takes practice. Personally, I think it has a lot to do with hand-eye coordination. And I just could never manage my brain looking at one screen and drawing on something else. I had to be looking where I'm drawing in order for it to work for me. So that's why I ended up going with the Huion Canvas. And I have a much older model. Mine is quite a few years old now. But it was really a fantastic investment. I would say it competes really well with the Wacom brand for a fraction of the price, and it offers a rechargeable stylus that works really well with pressure sensitivity as well. If you compare the two, like this stylus versus the Apple Pencil, you can tell that there's a difference. For someone like me, I tend to like clench my hand like really tightly when I draw for some reason. So this can be really helpful too to kind of help with ergonomics. But for this, I end up using one of those pencil grips to kind of help my hand not get crampy when I'm working for longer periods of time. But I like that the Huion has its own stylus, and it's rechargeable, so you don't need batteries. You just plug in the little plug and put it into your USB port on your computer, and it'll charge it. And I like that it's such a large workspace as well. It's a 19-inch screen, and it works with pressure sensitivity. As I said, it's really great for illustrators working on intense projects, and even for graphic designers working on branding projects, logo design, things like that. Personally, I use it for both. The next tool that I would highly suggest is kind of like a series of tools. It's a combo, a trio, so to speak. The Affinity Software. So Affinity Designer, Affinity Photo, and Affinity Publisher. If you're looking for a really affordable but formidable design software that competes with the likes of Adobe, then I'll introduce you to the Affinity Software, the Affinity Serif brand. Affinity offers 3 comprehensive softwares. The Affinity Designer software, which is a vector-based product, and it's really great for graphic design. Affinity Photo, which is a raster-based product and is really fantastic for image editing and raster painting. and Affinity Publisher, which is a layout product that can be used to design book layouts, magazines, marketing materials, anything that you think of that would require a layout kind of design and spread format. Each of these will run you about $55 US or about $165 total for all three, but there's no monthly subscription. It is a fantastic set of programs that will come in handy if you are working in the design realm. And what's really nice is that you can export the files into compatible formats so that you can open them up on other softwares like Adobe Illustrator, Adobe Photoshop, things like that. Now, in addition to the desktop software, I highly suggest the Affinity iPad app. So Affinity Designer and Affinity Photo both come in iPad versions. They don't have Publisher just yet, but I really think that these are fantastic, like on-the-go versions of the desktop versions. The apps are just as feature-packed as the desktop versions. They're not watered-down versions of the desktop versions, and they're really just fantastic for working on the go with your iPad. Anything that I've been able to do or create on my desktop, I could do it with my iPad on the go. If you're planning to pursue a career as a graphic designer or you're looking to transition to freelance work, then the next tool I would highly suggest that you will want to probably invest in first before anything is a good computer or a laptop. My main suggestion is to make sure you invest in memory and a good graphics card. I have a Mac Mini with 16 gigabytes of unified memory and 1 terabyte of storage. I opted for a higher memory because in addition to working with design software, I'm often editing and I needed the additional power to be able to have things like Affinity and Final Cut Pro running simultaneously. The graphic cards help to render your images, your videos, and animation. And graphic design software often performs the best on computers with ample resources and options to fully use their capabilities. So that's why you want to make sure you invest in something that has a really solid and strong graphics card. The next thing that I would suggest is a USB hub. So a powered USB hub is incredibly helpful as you will likely be working with tools that require additional USB ports. I have one that's powered separately and connects to my Mac Mini. This gives me extra ports that I can use for my external hard drives and my SD cards for video work. Now, speaking of memory, the next tool that I would suggest is an external hard drive. Files grow and can take up a lot of memory on your computer. Storing them on your computer only takes up space and can often slow your hardware down. I also hate the idea of losing something that I've worked on for weeks and for months, so I always have backups on my external hard drive. I usually work off of my desktop, the computer hard drive itself, as it's the fastest, and I also save versions on my external hard drive, and then I pull that whole final project folder into my external, and then I remove it from my computer when a project is done. I also have a backup of my backup because I've learned the hard way that those are really important. Now that we've talked about the tech tools, I wanted to share a few analog tools that are really helpful to me as a designer. So a good sketchbook and pencil can go a really long way. I like to use the Canson mixed media sketchbooks as they're really affordable, and I can use a variety of mediums from ink to watercolor. And I use a Staedtler Mars Technical pencil as I get the feel of a traditional pencil mixed with a mechanical. And while I like to work digitally because it's easy and clean and I don't have to pick up or carry so many things, I still find that I will sketch ideas and write notes in a notebook. It's just how I learned, and I find that I remember things better when they're written down. So from scribbles to elaborate art, sketching helps me to get insight while I'm planning out a project. Finally, for my last tool/tools, because it's kind of like a two-in-one, and it's also analog, I use a planner to stay organized. If you're a freelancer, you will likely have tons of deadlines and project launches to coordinate, and I find that planning in a planner really helps to keep me on top of those important dates. I also use an app called Trello to keep organized for myself and for client projects. So I kind of do both. I like that I can connect Trello to my Google Calendar, and it's also a really great way to keep not only myself but my clients accountable for deadlines as well. And I still write things down in my paper planner though, because like I said, I find that writing things helps me to retain them better, but I still utilize that Trello app to kind of keep track of things, and I have that almost as like my ongoing to-do list, especially if I'm working on a client project, but then I even have a plan for a whole entire year. I'll actually share in the cards above a link to a video where I share how I use Trello with clients, and then also how I use Trello to kind of gist and get my life together as I'm working through projects. Now I have one bonus tool. While I'm an educator and I have been teaching for over 10 years now, the reality is that there's always room for growth. And I consider myself to be a lifelong learner. And even though I'm no longer in the corporate setting where things like professional development are required, I do annual professional development for myself and my creative business. I found that platforms like Skillshare aren't just great for me to release courses on as a teacher, but also they're really great for me to utilize as a student. I've taken classes on all kinds of things that I find will benefit my business, as well as creative refreshers. It's also one of the places, of course, that I launch my own classes, and I really support the platform and what they're doing. If you don't have a subscription to Skillshare, but you want to try it for free for a month, you can use my teacher referral link. I'll leave it in the description box below, and you can get it for 30 days free, the premium, so you could take all the classes that are listed under premium. Now, if you don't want to use Skillshare, as maybe you don't want the hassle of a monthly subscription, another platform that I would suggest is arbington.com. They have individual courses. I also release my own courses there as well, and I'll leave my Arbington link in the description box below so that you can check out my profile and check out the website. And like I said, if you prefer to purchase classes a la carte, they start at $19.95 for me and my course offerings, and it's just a really great an affordable option that's out there. I hope you found the rundown of my tools helpful. If you use anything different, let me know in the comments below. If there's something that you found that has really helped to make your life as a freelancer easier, let me know. I'm always looking to work smarter and not harder. Thank you so much for stopping by today, and if you're not already, make sure you subscribe to my channel to stay up to date on my latest tutorials, course launches, and of course, my studio vlogs. If you're looking for other ways to connect with me, you can find me online at www.bellasophiacreative.com. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.